The ink trembled on the tip of Anne's quill. A fat, black drop fell onto the parchment, blurring the words "I" and "of Hawthorne Cross" witnessed the transfer. She didn't wipe it away. Let it stain. Let it be proof, though no one would see it but her. Outside the scribe's cottage, wind rattled the shutters. Inside, firelight flickered over her pale face, her wheat gold hair tied back in a fraying braid. At 20, she looked younger, hollow-cheeked, eyes too wide, fingers raw from scrubbing wool and mending fences. Her black wool gown, plain and unadorned, hung loose on her thin frame. Mourning wasn't just for the dead, it was for the life she'd lost when her father died, leaving her orphaned and landless. The disputed field West Meadow had been her father's. Or so he'd said. But the deed vanished with him, buried in the fever that took half the village 2 winters past. Sir Godfrey, lord of the manor's lesser wing, saw weakness. He came to her at dusk, cloaked in civility and the scent of rosewater. "A girl like you needs protection," he'd murmured, pressing a silver penny into her palm, enough to buy bread for a fortnight. "All you need do is say you saw him hand the deed to the steward. No one alive will contradict you." She nodded. Not because she wanted greed, but because hunger spoke louder than conscience. The court convened in the great hall 2 days later. Oak beams, smoke-stung air, the magistrate's bench draped in faded crimson. And stood before them, hands clasped, eyes lowered, the picture of modesty. Her voice, when it came, was steady. "I saw it, my lord. My father gave the deed to Master Harlow. I swear it on my soul." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Even the bailiff looked impressed. Only one person didn't move. Eleanor, her elder sister, seated at the scribe's table, quill frozen mid-stroke. At 32, Eleanor wore dignity like armor, grey-streaked hair pinned severely, brown wool gown trimmed with faint gold thread, not wealth, but earned respect. She'd raised, and after their parents died, taught her letters, warned her, truth is the only currency that never devalues. Now, her gaze lingered on, and not with anger, with sorrow. The verdict came swiftly, West Meadow awarded to Sir Godfrey, and exhaled relief, sharp and sour. But fate has a habit of rising from the earth like buried truth. 3 days later, a bent-backed farmer named Thomas staggered into the hall, clutching a water-stained leather tube. Inside, the real deed found beneath a collapsed hearthstone in his barn, where Anne's father had hidden it before the fever took him. And beside it, a sworn affidavit from 2 witnesses who'd seen Thomas receive the land in trust, not Anne's father. Silence fell like a guillotine. Magistrate Aldrich, a man whose beard was whiter than his ethics, rose slowly. "And of Hawthorne Cross," he said, voice like grinding stone. "You swore before God and this court on a lie. Perjury in matters of land is not mere falsehood, it is theft of livelihood, rupture of peace, and treason against the king's justice." He turned to the crowd. "Let the punishment be as public as the crime." The village square at noon. A crowd swelled, not just villagers, but carters, monks, children perched on fence posts. The whipping post stood tall, its wood dark with old stains, and was led forward, barefoot, her black gown still on, modesty preserved, but her hood stripped away. Her hair tumbled loose, a stark gold against the somber wool. Whispers hissed like snakes. "Liar! Traitor!" Poor Eleanor's shame. Then Eleanor stepped forward. Not to plead, not to weep. She walked with calm dignity to the magistrate and placed a leather-bound book in his hands, the Statutes of Westminster, 1275. Opened to chapter 22, "If any man bear false witness, he shall be set in the pillory or whipped, as the justice shall determine." Her voice carried, clear and unwavering, "The law is just, my lord. Let it be seen." And looked at her not with betrayal, but dawning horror. Her sister was upholding the law, over her. That was worse than the whip. That was love refusing to lie. The bailiff raised the lash, 3 thin cords of hemp, knotted at the end. Crack. And gasped, shoulders jerking. Fire split her back. Crack. A tear broke free, streaking through the dust on her cheek. Crack. Her knees buckled. She sagged against the ropes, breath ragged, whispering not in protest, but in broken repentance, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." They untied her gently. No cheers. Only silence, heavy, solemn, awed. This wasn't cruelty. It was correction. And the village felt it. Days later, Anne sat again at the scribe's table, not as a witness, but as an apprentice. Her back throbbed beneath linen bandages, but her hands were steady. She copied land records, now Thomas's, the miller's, the widow's, each stroke deliberate, truthful. No embellishment. No omission. One afternoon, she walked to Thomas's cottage. Knocked. When he opened the door, she didn't speak. Just knelt in the same dirt where she'd stood in shame and placed Sir Godfrey's silver penny in his calloused palm. She whispered, "Forgive me.